In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the position graph. Let me show you a finished position graph. If I click on this and go in here, notice that I've got grid lines. Here they're by every 10 centimeters, right? And here I've got by every second, and then I've divided that into tenths of a second. And I've divided these, I decided to divide these into fifths, right? Okay, so every one of these vertical lines is actually 2. So that one's 142, 144, 146, 148, and then 150. Okay, we want to do this because we're going to put tangent lines on here. We need all these grid lines to make the tangent lines and read them off. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Let's go back to the one that we haven't done yet, right? Okay, now I'm going to select the time and the position data. To do that, notice how I'm actually going to select these headers. I'll show you what happens when you do that. So notice how we've got it labeled like that. So I'm going to make that selection like that. Okay. So notice that I have selected the words time. If you haven't put those up there, put them up there. Okay. Time in seconds, position in centimeters, right? And then I go insert a chart. And it chooses the right chart, I think, right? If it doesn't choose a line chart, right, go in here and go, gee, I want to be this thing, right? Okay, suggested graphs, right? Yeah, I think that's the one we want, right? For line chart. Smooth line chart. Should we try a smooth one? I don't even know. This one looks fine to me. Okay, so if it doesn't choose a line chart, choose and do that. If it gives you something else like a column graph, okay, that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this corner. See that? So click on those little 3 dots in the corner and go move to own sheet. Right, and now notice how it calls the sheet chart 1. We can fix that. So this is a right click or a control click, right? Rename. Let's call this. Right, so now I've got my data here. I've got my position graph there. Okay, now I need to fix some things, right? This is not very good. I really don't want this to have like by 50s. That's just not very convenient. Okay, so let's go fix that. Let's fix the grid lines. Notice that it's got position and times. It's got the proper title to it and all this stuff, right? So I'm going to go edit my chart. And mostly what I want to do is I want to add grid lines. So let's go here to grid lines. Okay, let's look at the horizontal axis first because that's the simplest one. Now, notice how many grid lines I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I really want 7. I really want this to be a grid line here because I have no idea where that edge of the graph is, and I need to read that for my tangent lines, right? So let's go for the major grid lines. Let's say tell it 7, and we'll see very quickly whether. Oh, that's good. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grid lines, and that's perfect. Okay. Now I would like to divide those into tenths. Now this gets a little tricky, right? That means I actually want between these 9 grid lines. So watch this. Now let's just check. Did we do it right? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 divisions, yet there are 9 minor grid lines between the major grid lines. A little hard to wrap our mind around that, right? Okay. Now let's take a look at this. Let's look at our vertical axis here. This takes a little figuring, right? I definitely don't want to go by 50s because that's just way too hard to read. I'd love this to go by 10s. So, what is that value right there? 163. So we need to go to 170 for mine. And I don't know what you're going to do, right? But that means I think I want 18 grid lines. We'll find out very quickly whether that is a good number. So I just literally just type with your keyboard 18. And we'll see what happens here. Boom. Yeah, that works. 18 grid lines works just fine like that. Okay. You may need a different number of grid lines, right? You might need 19 grid lines or something like that, right? Okay. Now, I'd like to divide these a little more, but I definitely don't want 9 divisions between them. So let's try 5 or 4 divisions in between. Okay. Okay, then that will give me 5 intervals. 4 grid lines will give me 5 intervals. Let's just try it. Boom. Let's see. Does it work? Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah. There are now 5 little intervals in there. Okay. I gotta put my reading glasses on here because I'm old. Oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 now divisions in there. Okay. So on the vertical axis, this number might be different for your graph. Okay. So you're going to have to wangle that. All right. So this is beautiful. This graph is ready to go. I've got the axes labeled, and that just happened because when I selected the data, I selected those words, right? It's got a title, and that just happened for me, right? And it's got divisions. It's got 10 divisions here, 9 minor grid lines, right? And this edge of the graph is definitely a line, okay? If your graph looks like that, you are ready to go.